Welcome to Reset 676. I'm Chandra Mill, and I'm narrating the website reset676.com, which was researched and written by Marek Czapiewski. I have written to him and gained his permission to narrate this website into a podcast for a wider audience. If you have any questions or want to see resources or further information, please visit reset676.com. I am not an expert. I am here simply to narrate this site. Before I begin, I want to make sure that my listeners understand. I want to be clear that everything that I am reading is the written word by Marek Czapiewski. This does not reflect my inherent beliefs, and everything is under quotation. If there is anything that I wish to say of my own volition, then I will make clear that I am speaking for myself and not narrating the book in the moment. Thank you for joining. If you're interested in learning more about this, visit reset676.com. And if you're excited to hear more episodes, go ahead and subscribe. And I will begin this episode with the introduction. Most of us believe that we live on a peaceful planet where only disasters on a local scale occur. However, history knows of cases of global catastrophes that annihilated a large part of the human population and led to a deep collapse of civilization. One example is the medieval Black Death pandemic. In the 14th century, the plague killed half of Europe's population, but also wreaked havoc on other continents. Entire families were dying together. There were not enough living to bury all the dead. For the chroniclers, the plague was devastation more final than Noah's flood. So many died that everyone believed it was the end of the world. Contemporary scientists and witnesses to these events pointed to the conjunction of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, which had occurred a few years earlier, as the cause of the plague. They also pointed to the corrupted air released from the Earth's interior during earthquakes, for the cataclysms of this type were widespread and intense during the plague period. The witnesses of these events reported many unusual phenomena. For example, there are reports saying that in some places, fire was falling from the sky and killing people. Several centuries earlier, at the beginning of the Middle Ages, the first plague pandemic swept across all three continents of the Old World, inflicting similarly great losses on humanity. One chronicler wrote that the disease took the lives of a third of the world's population. Animals also died out en masse. But the plague was not the only problem. According to the accounts in the chronicles, just before the epidemic, the sky was obscured by a huge amount of dust and gases, which could have come from the impact of a big asteroid. Eyewitnesses reported that for 18 months, the sun gave forth its light without brightness. The climate disruption resulted in crop failures and famine in most of the world. People at the time were convinced that this was the apocalypse. About 3,000 years ago, all the forces of nature seemed to have colluded again to do the work of destruction. History recorded in tree rings testifies that there was a massive volcanic eruption or an asteroid impact at that time. There were also severe earthquakes, prolonged droughts, and possibly a huge plague. All of this led to a complete collapse of the Bronze Age civilization. Famines and mass migrations set in and the population declined drastically. Within 50 years, almost every major city in the Eastern Mediterranean was destroyed. The world of organized state armies, kings, officials, and redistributive systems disappeared. It took the ancient civilization as long as 300 years to recover from this collapse. These are just a few of the global catastrophes that can be found in the pages of history. These examples show that every now and then the Earth is struck by massive cataclysms that reset civilization. It used to happen in the past, so it can happen again. Unfortunately, all signs of the Earth and sky indicate that another such reset is about to happen. After careful research on this subject, I come to the conclusion that the end of our world as we know it will occur as early as in 2023. Cutting out, as myself, Chandra, I just want to add that this was finished being written in 2022, so please bear with this information as we continue. Now let's get back into it. There are many indications that this is when a deadly pandemic will begin. There will be massive earthquakes, severe weather anomalies, long-term power outages caused by geomagnetic storms, and many other natural disasters. The rulers will try to hide this global cataclysm from us at all costs in order to prevent panic and unrest. Otherwise, they may lose control over society. In order to cover up the natural disasters, governments will start a world war. I know this is a very serious and daring theory, but consider how serious evidence I must have since I dared to publish such a theory. Quote, civilization exists by geological consent, subject to change without notice. End quote. Will Durant. The study is long and contains about 100,000 words, which is equivalent to a rather thick book. However, such a detailed presentation of the subject is necessary because of its great importance. Any mistake in assessing the situation can cost us dearly. We need to fully understand what is going to happen, for what reason it is happening, and what evidence there is that this will be so. We need to learn the previous resets thoroughly in order to be well prepared for the one that is coming. Be warned that the subject is mentally challenging to accept. I acquired this knowledge gradually, so I had time to get used to it, but you will learn everything at once. However, it is undoubtedly worth taking the risk and reading so that you can prepare yourself for what is about to happen. Take time to assimilate the knowledge. If you feel overwhelmed by this information, take a break to reflect. For those who generally do not believe that it is possible to predict future cataclysms, I encourage you to read this ebook, if only to learn about civilization resets that have occurred in the past and changed the course of history. I am convinced that neither the school nor the media told you about it. Already in the first chapter, I present important evidence, and I think that this will encourage you to read the whole thing. That is the end of the introduction, and I just want to state that when I came across this website about a year and a half ago, I found it very, very intriguing because I do believe that there is a lot of potential for things being held. I believe that there is a lot of potential of secrets and knowledge being held from us as a general public. And I think that that's very clear when you look at things like UFOs being admittedly quote unquote real, right? And while many of us already believed in the probability of alien life forms, it just goes to show how much is being kept a secret from us. So I very much find this topic interesting, and I'm also drawn to, I find natural disasters to be very interesting as well. So I was really drawn to hopefully share this information with a wider public, and you can take it or you can leave it. There is no indoctrination here. You do not have to believe what is being shared, and you may believe some things and not others. You are absolutely, as per usual with everyone, allowed to have your own opinion. I do request that everyone stay civil in the comments. And with that, I thank you for joining me in this episode. The next one will be covering Chapter 1, the 52-year cycle of cataclysms. So I look forward to seeing you then.